Red Polly,
Dusty,
blue poncho,
Tupac,
street,
hey, Wilson, Hoosier, hey, Elvis,
Blue 58,
go!
Welcome to Health Matters, episode 4, week 1 of the NFL 2023-24 season. Here we go. I know everyone's super excited. Ryan, take it away with the injury roundup.
Yeah, we got Joe Burrow, who's still been limited in day-to-day with a calf injury. We have Miami running back Jeff Wilson, who's been dealing with injuries to his midsection and his finger, and he's been placed on IR by Mike McDaniel, so he'll miss at least the first 4 games of this season.
Yeah, it's interesting. A midsection injury could be a lot of different things. Could be ribs, could be abdomen, but really what we think about are these abdominal strains, these hip pointers, areas where very strong core muscles come into your pelvis and really help you twist, generate power from your core, and just help you execute your job better at his position.
We have Seahawks safety Jamal Adams, who's been ruled out for week 1 against the Rams. He's still recovering from a quad injury he suffered last year. He tore his quad week 1 while chasing down a former quarterback of his, Russell Wilson, now on the Broncos. He was just activated off the PUP list on August 24th, so the team expects him to be back within the first 4 weeks of the season.
It's amazing when you look at this. It's going to be about 12 months from quad tendon surgery. And keep in mind, the quadriceps muscle is the biggest muscle in the body, and it attaches into the patella or your kneecap, and is very important, obviously, for making the leg work and what we call extensor mechanism function. And so 12 months is a long time. When you look at it, it's the largest muscle in the body. It takes a long time to condition. You're working on just getting that muscle completely back, plus the hamstring, which is the co-contractor, and all of the core. So it doesn't surprise me this is 12 plus months. It might be another week before we see him, but definitely going to be questionable for week 1.
Okay, continuing on, the Chiefs, they had 2 wide receivers, Kadarius Toney and Richie James, both limited at practice on Monday. So we want to keep an eye on that receiver depth for those guys. Another receiver, the Saints' Traquan Smith, is expected to miss week 1 after undergoing a groin surgery in August. Hoping to have him back for week 2, but see how he recovers.
Yeah, Brandon, groin surgery you can get back pretty quick from it. Depends on the level of the groin surgery, but usually you're repairing what we call these sports hernias or sports tears of the abdominal musculature or the fascia that attaches into your pelvis. With the use of a really good bone fixation techniques, you can get back pretty quickly, but it still takes time to get that core strength conditioned, build back up, and be able to use that entire kinetic chain.
Yeah, definitely. Another wide receiver that we've been keeping an eye on each week is Cooper Kupp. And he is now in Minnesota meeting with a specialist regarding his hamstring injury, which has had a setback, so he's unlikely for week 1. What does that mean, going to a specialist, Doc?
Well, we do it a lot in the NFL. You see a lot of second opinions, and the second opinion docs are key, and sometimes a third opinion or even a fourth opinion. And what you try to do is go to docs around the country that have specialists in certain types of injuries. He's seen someone that has a pretty solid interest, research background in hamstring strains and tears. And I know this has been frustrating for him in the offseason. He's also coming off an ankle injury last season as well. So I think it would be really incumbent for Cooper to really look at the overall kinetic chain, how his overall body's function, the muscle tightness, the pliability of his muscles and joints, and just making sure his body's optimized as he heads into this important season.
Yeah, he's definitely a player we want to watch. He was a good fantasy guy last year. He's a great guy on the field, so hopefully he can get back and healthy. All right, this week, since we're going into week 1, injury reports are a big thing, and that's a lot of things we talk about. And so one thing we want to kind of give to the audience is a breakdown of what does it mean when you're on the injury report. The different words like doubtful, questionable, and out. So, Doc, what all goes into injury report listings?
Yeah, this is obviously mandated by the NFL, and so it's known to other teams, and obviously for betting, Vegas, others, it's all listed, and so who's doing what and when and what players are expected to play. So it used to be a little bit more cumbersome about 6-7 years ago, where you had not just doubtful, questionable, out, but we also had probable. And That was taken away by the NFL in about 5, 6, 7 years ago, and now it's just doubtful, questionable, and out. So it's much simpler for the teams to manage, much simpler for the coaching staff, general managers, on top of working closely with the medical staff to be able to put this together. But basically, if you're questionable, you will probably play, but you're probably in that 50 to 90% chance of playing. If you're doubtful, there's a very low chance that you're going to play. So that's important for fantasy players out there, and it's also important for managing your bets and other things. That if you're doubtful on the report, you're likely not going to play. And there's only, if you look at some of our data from the predictors, there's only a few percentage point chance that you're actually going to play if you're doubtful. And obviously, if you're out, you're out. And then the last thing you also make a designation for is doubtful out, questionable out, or questionable in, questionable out. And so you'll see that also in the injury report after the final decision is made. And speaking of when the decision is made, Brandon, these are put out for every practice report and whether the player practiced starting early each NFL week. And so we'll have our first practice report coming up in pre-week 1 here very soon. And then that's titrated every day. Now, what's interesting is you even get down to the 90-minute final. And you want to talk about that, Brandon?
Yeah, the 90-minute final is when you get to turn in your 48 players to dress for the active roster, and that's the active. That's the final showdown before the game. Turn that roster in, and those are the guys you're going on the field with. There's no changes from there.
Yes, you got to, imagine the team. You're managing these rosters 24/7 and thinking about who can play and who can't play. But it used to be that you only could do 45 or 46 players out of your 53 on the active roster. And keep in mind, you've got about 15 or 16 now on the practice squad. So you got a number of players that you can pull from, but the practice squad has to be on the active 53-man roster before being activated. So there's a bunch of rules. That 90-minute list, you'll see it of who's going to dress, and all the teams announce it. And through the NFL, 90 minutes before kickoff, it's got to be in. And those are the 48 out of 53 that are going to dress for that game.
Yeah, sometimes those warm-ups are key, being out there watching the player move and seeing if he's ready to go, because that one spot can make the difference on the roster.
Yeah, Brandon, we'd often have to go out, the whole medical staff or a small group of us, and see how the player did on top of looking, with the coaches or the specific position coaches, and see how that player performed 120 minutes before kickoff. So it's a very scripted, very busy time to get everything finalized before kickoff, because you're making these 90-minute decisions, which can be crucial to the team's success.
Yeah, so keep an eye out this year as we go through them. We're announcing these doubtfuls and questionables, because that can make some big decisions for you weekly as well. All right, today we're going to look at the NFC. We did the AFC last week. We're going to finish up the NFC this week, previewing each of the rest of the divisions we need to talk about, to give you a little breakdown of what they look like this year. We'll start off with the NFC North. Ryan, tell us about the Packers.
Packers just getting rid of Aaron Rodgers finally, and Jordan Love is taking the reins over. They got rookie tight end, young wide receiving core. They look like they should be having a good year, turning it around. I know the Packers faithful are very happy to have a fresh start, get Jordan Love out there onto the field.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to be exciting to watch. Hopefully Jordan Love can make that step after sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, the king of the North, they called him. So maybe they can do a good job and get some wins with the new quarterback. And then we have the Lions. I think they're the favorite of the division, which is kind of crazy considering their history. They haven't been a favorite since the NFC Central was around. And that's a long time ago. So I think they're the favorites this year. They brought in some DBs to shore up that back line. And they got Jared Goff coming off of the best season of his career since the Super Bowl in 2018. So they're going to be a fun team to watch.
And then we got the Vikings, who they just lost their star running back in Dalvin Cook. So they got Kirk Cousins leading the offense and Justin Jefferson out there catching passes from Cousins. Expecting Justin Jefferson to get a lot of passes this season, a lot of targets, but not really too hot on the Vikings as a whole this season.
No, they did.
Jefferson, one of the best fantasy draft picks already this season.
Consensus
if you look at
number one right there.
And it's going to be interesting. I know you're saying Lions, but the Vikings with Jefferson and a healthy safety core, it could be really interesting.
Definitely. And the Bears wrapping up the division, Justin Fields, is this his breakout year? It's year 3. Jalen Hurts had a breakout year 3. Can he do it? They have a better O-line. They have a new weapon in DJ Moore coming over from the Panthers. He's been a consistent 15 game a guy a year, so maybe he can be the piece they need to get the ball downfield.
Yeah, I'm really high on Justin Fields this series. One of my top quarterbacks to watch in fantasy football. Just missed drafting him last night in my league's fantasy draft, but very, very jealous of the person that drafted him 3 picks before I was taking him.
Yeah, so we're torn. We got the Vikings and the Lions in the top of the division, huh?
Yeah, and DJ Moore should be really interesting. I mean, he had a really good season last year. His snap percentage is well above 91, 92% every game. And so you can have another really good season, and health's going to matter, though, for DJ.
Okay, moving on to the NFC South, the unknown division of the NFC. A bunch of new quarterbacks down there. They're kind of all over the place. Starting with the Panthers, they got the number 1 pick, Bryce Young, coming out of Alabama. He's an undersized guy. Hopefully his O-line can protect him. Do you worry about size, Doc?
I do, but we've seen quarterbacks in the league that have done really well with smaller size. Even go back to someone like Doug Flutie, and you've got a really good line protecting a quarterback. If they've got mobility and the ability to throw over the line and get around, I don't have any concerns.
Okay.
And then we got the New Orleans Saints, who they just got a new quarterback from Las Vegas and Derek Carr. They're trying to look to revamp their offense. They got Chris Olave at wide receiver, who's been a solid player last season. They have veteran and Michael Thomas, who can, as long as he can stay healthy, he will be one of the top receivers in the NFL. But he's had a lot of injury issues these last few seasons. So hopefully he can stay on the field and keep catching those passes downfield from Derek Carr.
Yeah, I'm a Louisiana guy, so I got the Saints on my list, but Michael Thomas has to stay healthy. Moving on to the Falcons, they got an exciting rookie running back in Bijan Robinson. That running back room's pretty excited about that and hoping he can have a good breakout year, rookie of the year campaign. They have a quarterback who's had some issues, Desmond Ridder. He came in late last year, and see if he can continue on and improve this year. He does have some weapons in Drake London and Kyle Pitts. So they may be a team to watch out for, but they're kind of an unknown right now.
Yep, and then we got the Buccaneers, who they got Baker Mayfield leading them. They have Mike Evans, who another receiver. As long as he can stay healthy, he will be a top 5 easily in the league. And then they need their O-line to protect Baker Mayfield, give him time in the pocket, let him make good decisions, get the ball downfield, and keep the ball moving. We got Chris Godwin in his 2nd season coming back from ACL surgery. And I know we have a lot of data from the predictors on ACL. Brandon, Doc, you guys want to touch on that?
Yeah, the first year back after ACL for someone like Godwin's position can be a little bit dicey. Their snap percentage is down about 15 to 20% overall, as well as overall productivity based on their position. But Godwin's now in his 2nd year back. We usually see even better performance than what they were previously injured. Now, keep in mind he's had a hamstring injury along with this, MCL, thumb and finger injuries. So, he's a big player, gets a lot of snaps, gets a lot of downs, and with that does come injuries. But as long as Godwin stays healthy, the Bucs are going to have a chance.
Yeah. So who do you guys got for the South, Ryan? Who are you taking?
It's a tough one. It's going to be a very, very tight one. I'm liking the Bucs this year. I mean, they have one of the most experienced quarterbacks in Baker Mayfield. Granted, it's not too much compared to much of the rest of the league, but compared to everyone else in that division, I'm liking the Bucs.
Okay, what about you, Doc?
Yeah, I think the Saints have been on a rebuild, and this is their year.
Okay, I like that. I'll take that one. All right, the toughest division in the NFC this year, we're thinking it's going to be the NFC West.
Yeah, brutal. Huh?
They're all over the place. I mean, the 49ers, back-to-back NFC championship games, they've been hot. Can they make it to the Super Bowl this year? Starting Brock Purdy at the quarterback. They have great, talented offensive trio and McCaffrey, Kittle, and Deebo Samuel. They're going to be a really fun team to watch and see if they can get over the hump this year.
Yeah, the Seahawks are going to be a great team to watch. Geno Smith had a phenomenal season last year. We're hoping he can keep up the great work on the field. We got DK Metcalf, still great, big, fast target that he has downfield. And, yeah, hopefully they can keep on trucking along.
Yeah, the Rams are the tough one. They got Matt Stafford, but Cooper Kupp dealing with his injuries we talked about earlier in the show. Aaron Donald, can he stay healthy with the rookies around him on defense? Having a young defense is tough in this division for sure.
they're coming off a tough season at the end of last season, and they're ready. They want to do well, but I don't think the Rams are going to have it this year. Too many injuries, too many issues.
And then we have the Arizona Cardinals, who have a lot of questions at quarterback. Kyler Murray, we do not know exactly when he's going to come back. He tore his ACL last year, week 14 against the Patriots, and there hasn't been any exact dates on when he's going to come back. There's been thoughts that he could miss the entire season. He could miss half the season. We're not exactly sure. They're a huge wild card. We're not sure how they're going to really perform. They have good weapons, Marquise Brown, but without a good, solid quarterback, they might not be doing too hot this year.
Yeah, they are projected last, so they're definitely not my pick for the West. I'm going to stick with the 49ers and say they ride it all the way out this year. What about you?
Yeah, this is a tough one. Seattle's a little bit of a sleeper, but the 49ers are my clear favorite. They've done it. They know how to do it. I just think the Rams are going to have a tough situation. I don't think Cooper Kupp's going to be fully healthy this year. He's going to have some issues with recurrent hamstring strains, and 49ers is a clear favorite for me.
I'm going to have to be echoing what Doc just said and picking the 49ers. We'll see if Geno Smith can carry the momentum from last season and keep playing well, but not too hot on them. And again, with the Rams, I don't see them being healthy enough this season. And the 49ers, they seem like they're going to have the best defense in the NFL this season. So I'm really high on their team this season.
And it's interesting about Kyler Murray, and fantasy fans out there and, Cardinals fans. I mean, this is tough. So he had, week 9, he's got his hamstring injury. Then he was out week 10 and 11 last year. He came back week 12, played 100% snaps, a reasonable game. And then week 14, after a bye week, tears the ACL. These are related. The hamstring and ACL, it's related. They happen together. They go together. That's why you don't want to rush back. That's why Cooper's being smart about this, and among many others on the hamstring. We talked about hamstrings last week. It's a great episode. If you didn't look at it, you can get a little bit more in depth on the hamstring issue that's plaguing the NFL, and it's not really going away. And you can see that this has plagued Kyler and now Cardinals fans. So week 14, again, we're seeing about the 10, 11, 12-month time frame to get back. He's a mobile quarterback. So not really sure we're going to see him. It's probably mid-season at best.
Yeah, so fantasy guys who drafted him, keep that in mind. All right, we got a new segment this week. We have the Sit-'em and the Start-'em. The Sit-'em and the Start-'em segment we're going to introduce each week, and we're going to give you a player to start for your fantasy and a player to sit, and we're going to tell you why. Ryan, take it away with our Start-'em this week.
So my Start-'em for this week is going to be Travis Etienne of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're playing against Indianapolis Colts this week, and the Colts truly have no depth on defense. Their star defensive player is Shaq Leonard. He's currently in concussion protocol, so they can attack the middle, attack the linebackers with Travis Etienne. And last season, he played every single game with 220 carries for just over 1,100 yards and 5 touchdowns. And he also was able to rack in 35 receptions for 316 yards. So I'm really high on him for the season in general, but this week against the Colts, I think he's going to have a great start to the season.
All right, we like that pick. That's a hot pick there. And let's talk about our Sit-'em guy for the week, Ryan. Tell us who our Sit-'em guy is.
We have Kadarius Toney, wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. He was limited in practice yesterday, which was Monday, Labor Day, due to a lingering knee injury. And he's an explosive player. He relies on his speed, so he really needs that knee in order to be a good, solid player. And plus, they have depth at wide receiver, so they have other guys they can be throwing to.
All right, Ryan, thank you for that. We like them picks this week. Hopefully they can get some good fantasy points for your team with the Start-'em and save you on the Sit-'em. All right, moving on to week 1. We got the whole schedule here, guys. Give me 2 of your best games you want to watch this week. Doc, start with you.
Yeah, this is easy. They're the later games Sunday and also Monday. Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants. I think it's going to be interesting to see if the Giants are going to show up this season. A lot of people have them in top 3 or 4 finish, if not heading to the Super Bowl. And then Monday night, Bills at Jets. That's just going to be classic. Everyone's going to be watching that for so many reasons.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun Monday night game for sure. Ryan, which two games are you excited about this week?
So I'm excited for the Denver Broncos versus the Las Vegas Raiders game. I will be at the game, so that's the main reason I'm excited for it. Be the first time at Mile High, and should be a good divisional matchup in there. And then the other game, I gotta say, definitely the number one game of the week by far is going to be the Buffalo Bills against the New York Jets on Monday Night Football. As a fan of the AFC East, Patriots fan, I'm dying to see how the Jets are going to do this season with Aaron Rodgers, Dalvin Cook on the roster.
Okay, yeah, exciting. So everyone's a consistent on the Jets and the Bills. I'm going to go a little different route. I'm going to take the Sunday 49ers Steelers game as my other game to watch. I want to see the 49ers, see if they're the real deal, see if they're going to come out and put up some points and have Brock Purdy have a good year and get started off on the right track. So we're excited about week 1 this week, guys. Take a listen to the episode. Let us know what you think.
And there you have it, everyone. Health matters. Stay tuned for next week.